This is the Bull Session, a weekly recap of your 2025 Philadelphia Phillies. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's, tonight's show is brought to you by Team Toyota, BCWSA, Fogo de Show, Penn Community Bank, Chickies and Pete's, and the Capitol Grill Center City. Now, here are your hosts, Phillies Director of Fun and Games, John Brazer, and Mickey Morandini.
All right, welcome to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA. We're live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. I'm John Brazer, Director of Fun and Games for the Fightin' Phils, and joined by my co-host, Mickey Morandini, official Phillies ambassador, right?
Officially, yes.
Official. And have you gotten your diplomatic plate so you can, basically get out of trouble in case you ever...
I have not received that. I think it's in the mail.
It's in the mail. All right. And then they didn't give you a country. They just gave you the Phillies.
Just Phillies.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
All right, that's good. All right, well, Mickey, we got a great show today since we are honored to have on as our guest today, left-handed reliever on the Fightin' Phils, who I found out through our podcast is also amphibious. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, he can go underwater, but he can also throw right and left. Tanner Banks. How's it going, Tanner?
Great. How are you guys?
Good, real good.
Is amphibious is not throw left and right, I don't think.
No, but it's
now you can swim or something.
Yeah, it's the running joke that I think it was Charles Shackelford. I think it was that Shaq, not Shaquille O'Neal, but he said, hey, Charles, I heard you can go to your left and your right, equally as well. He said, yeah, I'm amphibious. So, whenever I say the word, ambidextrous, I almost feel like I have to say amphibious, right? Well, let's start with that. So you are, I know your dad grew up or gave you found a used glove somewhere, right, when you were a kid, and it was a left-handed glove?
Yeah, I think most kids, they grab a ball and they throw it left and right, and you try to coax them to throw with whichever hand you like, and my dad, exactly like you said, he found a glove at a garage sale, and that was kind of the end of it. But
and you just only threw it one way because you had the glove, obviously, on that side, so it wasn't really a choice.
Yeah, exactly. So, going through the similar thing with my own son, hey, I put the glove on his right hand, he throws with the left hand, but the second the glove comes off, he throws with the right hand. So I understand the struggles that my dad went through, but I still dabble with both.
But that's it.
Dabble.
So you can throw right-handed?
Decently.
So when we're getting blown out 15-0, why can't we bring you in and have him throw right-handed, right? Instead of bringing Weston in.
Hey, he's got 3 scoreless innings.
I know he does. He is pitching well.
But
could you do that, though? Could you come in and pitch
go
right-handed in a big league game?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I say amphibious. I've hit 70 right-handed.
That's pretty good.
Well, that's pretty. When they bring those position players in,
right.
They probably don't even throw 7.
Right. Some of those guys throw the eephus pitches.
But they're not trying to throw it hard. I'm trying to throw it hard.
All right, but let's go through that because, Mickey, are you at all ambidextrous? At all?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, because you do some weird things.
Because I'm naturally left-handed. I played in big leagues. I hit left-handed. I cannot golf left-handed, which we know. So I golf right-handed. Does that mean I'm...
But you putt left-handed, don't you?
But I putt left-handed. Does that mean I can... Does that mean
you're amphibious?
Amphibious? I don't know.
If you threw a ball right now to the gentleman right there in the Phillies, could you look athletic?
Oh, left-handed?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not.
Not at all.
No. But I could hit a golf ball right-handed and look athletic.
Right.
So I don't know if that's considered ambidextrous or not.
Well, same thing with me, and I mentioned this to Tanner. I grew up playing ice hockey. I'm left-handed in ice hockey, which in the NHL, I think it's 65% are left-handed, right? And I'm also left-handed in lacrosse, which is that way. And in that sport, I'm a unicorn. I'm naturally left-handed. So that's 95% are naturally right-handed,
right.
Left-handed. So that was a big. But then baseball, if I'm playing slow-pitch softball with control, I go right-handed. And I did play in a fast-pitch league, and I couldn't get around right-handed. So I'm much faster, quicker left-handed, fast-pitch.
So that makes you a switch hitter.
Yes.
Not ambidextrous.
True. And in golf, I'm right-handed, but I'm so bad that I might as well just switch to left because I know I'm left. Because if your ice hockey slap shot is left-handed, then your drive is left-handed.
Right.
So
do you bat right-handed or left-handed?
I don't call what I do bat.
Swing. We'll say swing.
I kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
I tell myself I want to swing left-handed, and then I swing left-handed, and I realize I should probably stick to right-handed, but then I swing right-handed.
So if you picked up a golf club, what would you pick up?
Right-handed.
Right-hand
But
clubs?
again, I question if I should be trying to swing a golf club right-handed or not.
Ask him when's the last time you actually batted in a professional baseball game?
Never.
Ever? Not
Well, you
even
don't
the
have
minor
one big
leagues?
league
Professional, never.
Not even the minor leagues?
My last at-bat was in high school in 2010.
Wow.
Yeah.
And were you a good hitter in high school?
No.
Not at all.
I could put the ball in play. I didn't strike out, but I couldn't hit it over the outfielder's head. So
Okay.
That's why he's a pitcher.
That's right.
exactly.
All right, well, let's talk about the current team right now. You guys just came back. Obviously, it's been a tough go of it so far, but you guys came back late night from, well, probably not late because it's Pittsburgh. When did you get in last night?
I was home for my kid's bedtime, so 7:45, 8 o'clock.
Okay. Now,
Not
Mickey's
bad.
from Pittsburgh. I love that ballpark. Do you like, is that a good ballpark to pitch in?
Yeah, after all the rain that we had gotten, I pitched the first game, and it was good. Like, there was some water in the outfield because it had rained so much, but the mound and the surface was all great.
How do you pitch there? Because I know last year you came up with us, but I don't know if we played Pittsburgh when you got traded over here. And then with the White Sox, did you have any games against Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh?
No, I just missed it. I came up like maybe 2 weeks after we
Okay.
had gone there.
I think as a fan, it's one of the best ballparks in the country.
Yeah, the scenery is what makes it.
Yeah.
You see the big buildings in the background. But, yeah, it's a beautiful ballpark.
All right, so let's talk about, we'll talk about your career, but let's talk about the team right now. Obviously, you guys are struggling. I mean, I know you guys, it's the ebbs and flows of baseball. You go through all that, and we're starting a big series against the Cubs starting tonight. Zach Wheeler on the mound. I mean, how's the mood in the clubhouse? I mean, obviously, we're going to get out of this at some point.
I think the biggest takeaway from the whole thing is that, like you said, it's the ebbs and flows of baseball. If you had a team that's outstanding for 162 games, I couldn't even think of a team in the past that's done that. So, just kind of sticking with the process and trusting yourself and the team and every step along the way that's going to get us where we need to be in the end,
Yeah, I mean, you go through that. Then even with Alvarado going out for the year, or at least for 80 days, and then playoffs, that bumped a lot of you guys up a little bit more. So you started having a little more, I guess, higher leverage situations. Has that changed at all for you or not? It's just the same kind of process.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to take the ball whenever it's
Right.
given to you. It sucked that what happened with Alvy happened the way it did, and we miss his presence for sure. But, again, we've got an incredibly talented group, and we've got a lot of depth in the farm. And, I'm sure we'll see some more of those guys come up as the year goes on. But really, we're just all pulling from the same rope right now.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern now is not necessarily the 5 losses in a row. I think we've lost maybe, 8 or 9 or 8 or 10 or something. But it's Bryce going down while we're in this losing streak. So where do we get you can't replace Bryce, obviously. Where do we get some production from someone else, I guess, is the question. I guess Bomer's going to play first throughout this entire thing, and I guess we'll probably go Sosa and who'd we just bring up? Otto Kemp, kind of back and forth, maybe at third base. Has Topper talked to you guys about any of that?
No, I think anyone's going to do their best to answer the call when it's given, but I do know that Otto Kemp's done an outstanding job thus far in the minors. And
what a great story, too. I mean, great story, right? And it's, I know you were, and we'll get through your career, junior college, then Utah. But here's Otto Kemp, played Division II college and was undrafted. And right when he got signed by the Phillies, he just took off. He had success everywhere. And when you're not a top 10 or top 15 round player, you have to really impress on the field to get noticed, because everyone's looking at the guys that you put a lot of draft capital in, right? So, I mean, Otto Kemp has just done it. So it's you got to give him some kudos right there.
And
so,
then welcome to the big leagues,
right, well,
Mr. Skeens,
well, that's
right?
what, Tanner, we were just talking about that. Like his second game,
There you go.
he's got to face Paul Skeens. Like that's almost unfair.
I think it's unfair to everyone who has to face it.
right.
Not just Otto, but yeah.
Right.
No, he showed up in camp and he played really well and he fit in really well, and it was a nice, pleasant surprise to see him in the clubhouse in Pittsburgh, and everyone was happy to see him. And now we're excited to see what he can do and how he can help us.
So when you see someone like that makes his debut, and it's such a great story, and there's always very good backstories, where I guess the 3 coaches on his AAA team knocked on his door. I think it was 11 o'clock and
I heard it was the middle of the night.
Right,
yeah.
11 o'clock, and then next thing you know, his wife had to drive like 7 hours. His parents had to get a flight. Does that for both of you guys? Do you remember like when you got brought up? Right, that's got to be such a cool moment. Tell me both how you got told, and then what was it like that first game, just like it was for Otto Kemp a couple days ago?
Go ahead, you can go first.
Mine's kind of a wild story. So it was right after the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, was agreed upon. So the Major League club was all in spring training in Arizona at the time. I had been sent down like with 3 or 4 days left in camp. I broke with the team, with the AAA team, to North Carolina from Arizona. I got there the first morning, and I get a phone call from the manager. He's like, "Hey, come to the field, do your regular routine. We're gonna have a flight for you tonight. You're going back to Arizona. We don't know what's going on, but they want you close." I'm thinking, okay, what could have happened? Well, Garrett Crochet had blown out his elbow, and Lance Lynn had torn his hamstring. So I fly back that night. I go to the clubhouse the next morning. I'm scheduled to pitch in the last game of the spring. And everyone's like, congratulations. Like, what have they told you? What do you know? And I know nothing. All I know is I'm here to throw in this game, and that I've taken 2 5-hour flights in the last 24 hours, so I'm kind of tired. But Here we go. Like, it's all part of the fun. And so pitching the game, I'm sitting on the bench in the dugout, and I'm waiting for the pitching coach to come over and kind of like debrief the outing. And he's playing on his phone. He's kind of looking around. He comes walking over. He sits down next to me, and Tony La Russa comes walking over, and he's like, "Hey, come here. You want pitching coach? You want me? Like, what's going on?" So I stand up, and he looks at me, and he reaches out and shakes my hand. He says, "Welcome to the Major Leagues." So It was a whirlwind of like a 48 hours.
And do you remember like when you got on the mound that first time? Like what was going through your head? Were you trying not to pay attention to the upper deck? Right?
Yeah, I'd been told by other people to not look up, because it's such a grand stadium across the league. But it was before the pitch clock, so I told myself, I'm only going to make a Major League debut once. Like, slow the game down, take everything in, and remember as much as I can. So I remember coming around, it was in Detroit, and you go down, like, the mound's here, home plate's here, and then the gate's down behind it, dead center field. So I remember coming around, walking around the corner and just looking up and trying to take it all in, getting to the mound, taking a big breath, trying to center and focus and really just be present because, again, it only happens one time.
Right.
And it's significantly special.
Right. It's like your wedding day. You got to
doubt.
kind of remember and slow it down. And all right, Mick, how about you?
All right, I'm in AAA, 3 games left. Rumor had I wasn't going to get called to the big leagues for September call-ups.
And what year are we talking here?
This would have been 1990.
Okay.
So I'm prepared to go home. We're taking batting practice. One of the coaches says, "Skipper wants to see you in his office." I'm like, "Why? Why would he want to see me in my office?" So I go in. He goes, "Sit down." He goes, "Phillies just traded Tommy Herr. You're going to the big leagues. They have a doubleheader tonight. You're starting the second game." So I put everything in the car, drive to Philly. I get there. First game has already started. I end up pinch hitting in that game in the 7th inning off Eric Schau. Nervous. Crowd wasn't very big because we weren't very good back then, so it was kind of a small crowd. But I just wanted to put it in play. Just put it in play. I ran the count to full and hit a pretty good ball to the left field. Fred Lynn caught it for the first out. Then game goes extra innings. I get my first big league hit off Greg Harris. Guy bunts me over. John Kruk singles me in for the winning run in extra innings. So I got my first big league hit and scored the winning run in my first major league appearance. But it was very nerve-wracking. It was all those things. Exciting, nerve-wracking, all kind of different emotions. But it was fun.
And this guy, Tanner, has played, again, he has a gold medal because he played in the 88 Olympics, right? You've got you played in the World Series,
yes.
Right? So, what was the most nerve-wracking for you for all?
Oh,
was there one moment that was literally?
I don't know if anything's more nerve-wracking than your first plate appearance in the big
World
leagues,
Series.
but World Series would be close second.
Right.
At least you're first at bat in the World Series.
Right.
I think once you get into the games and stuff, it's just another game once you get on the field.
Yeah.
But leading up to that, it's pretty nerve-wracking.
I guess it'd be nerve-wracking. He went to Indiana, Tanner, and Bobby Knight was the basketball coach. And I'm sure you've heard stories about Bobby Knight throwing chairs and everything, right? Like that. I think some of those kids out there playing under Bobby would probably
They were probably a little nervous.
Probably a little nervous. All right. Well, coming up in the show, we will talk more about Tanner Banks' career. We'll get we'll start from the beginning, Tanner. So go back through the time machine with our guest Tanner Banks. You're listening to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA. We're live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky Pete's. Our selection of seasonal cocktails make any meal better. Come sip and enjoy our bourbon cherry lemonade, made with small batch bourbon, muddled fruits, and refreshing juices. What a winner! Is fruit your flavor? Try a watermelon shandy cocktail. A smoky grapefruit with mezcal and fresh lime. Or sip and enjoy a very berry martini. All pair perfectly with our seasonal menu features. Come sip and enjoy at Chickies and Pete's.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at penncommunitybank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky Pete's. Our selection of seasonal cocktails make any meal better. Come sip and enjoy our bourbon cherry lemonade, made with small batch bourbon, muddled fruits, and refreshing juices. What a winner! Is fruit your flavor? Try a watermelon shandy cocktail. A smoky grapefruit with mezcal and fresh lime. Or sip and enjoy a very berry martini. All pair perfectly with our seasonal menu features. Come sip and enjoy at Chickies and Pete's.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Bull Session. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies Director of Fun and Games, John Brazer, and Mickey Morandini.
All right, we are back to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA. We're live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. We got Mickey Morandini and our guest Tanner Banks. Tanner, did you know back in spring training that my title was Director of Fun and Games? Did you know that when we interviewed you on the podcast?
No.
Did anybody from the White Sox have the title Director of Fun and Games? I can tell you the answer. It's a rhetorical question. No. Right?
It's a good title, though. It's a good title.
I don't really have a counterpart. I gave it to myself 32 years ago, and I've just ran with it ever since. So self-proclaimed, yes, Director. And so I'm thinking about give myself a little raise after 32 years. What do you think? Senior Director of Fun and Games?
Oh, there you go.
You like that?
Does that mean you have to have a...
Yeah, see, that brings up a couple problems. One, it makes me feel old, right? Because I know, but I put senior in that, it just has old connotations.
It does.
And does that, if I'm senior, yes, you're right, Tanner. Does that mean that I've got to have like an underling? Do I need like a junior Fun and Games?
Can you be the president of the director of Fun and Games?
Yeah, but that means I've got the same thing. I got the same problem that I'd be overseeing somebody. Like I don't really oversee anybody,
that's true.
So I don't want any responsibility.
Right.
So
You could just do a title like a CEO type of title.
CEO Fun and Games. Well, Dave Raymond, who is the original Philly fanatic, original best friend of the Philly fanatic, 10 years ago he gave himself off my title, gave himself the title Emperor of Fun and Games, knowing that you can't get any higher than Emperor. Right? Can you go higher? Like what, Yahweh? Or what's higher than Emperor?
I don't know.
You can't get higher. All right, Tanner
Supreme Leader.
Supreme Leader. Yeah, I guess I don't know. then whatever. We won't go there. Tanner, did you know that my co-host over here, Mickey Morandini, is one of 15 people, don't say yet, is one of 15 people in the major leagues ever in the history to accomplish something in the field? Can you guess?
Does it have to do with playing every position?
No.
No.
One of 15 people.
No chance.
It was basically this requires, you obviously have to have skill, but also requires a situational luck, right?
Absolutely.
So he
triple play.
Unassisted triple play.
You led me into that. But
yes. All right, Mick, tell Tanner what happened.
First and second, no outs, obviously. I'm in Pittsburgh at old Three Rivers Stadium. Leland sends the runners on a full count. Jeff King hits a line drive up the middle. I dive, catch it. I'm about 4 steps from second, tramp on second, go to throw to first, and Barry Bonds is standing right there for third out. So lasted all of really about 4 seconds.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom. I was the 9th player to ever do it. First second baseman in the regular season to ever do it, and there's been 15.
Wow.
One of the rarest feats in baseball.
Because the Phillies, was Eric Bruntlitz, was that unassisted?
It was.
Yeah, so that's
it ended the game against the Mets.
Was that the only one to end a game?
Probably. But he made an error right before that, so I don't know.
So it taints it a little bit?
So it's tainted a little bit.
What do you think, Tanner? Is it tainted right there?
Or smart. Maybe it's smart.
Yeah.
That's really picky,
He was set himself up. He knew the line drive was coming.
Maybe it's smart.
I mean, would you tell Eric Bruntlett that if he was sitting right here?
Yeah, absolutely I would.
Have you talked to Eric Bruntlett about that?
I don't even know Eric Bruntlett.
You guys have never met?
Never met him.
I feel like it's like, again, you're one of 15 people. How many people are still alive that did it unassisted?
There's a decent amount. Actually, a couple of shortstops in the 2000s did it. I know, was it Valentine from
Jose Valentine?
Jose Valentine, I think, did it. And
we need to get you and we need to get you two together, you and Bruntlett, right? For a picture for his...
A little autograph session.
Right.
There you go.
I think, see, can I be your agent right there?
Yeah, you're the director of Fun and Games. Get it done.
We'll get it done. All right, Tanner, let's talk about your, so you grew up I know you were born in California, right? But you guys...
Utah. Born in Utah. We lived in Atlanta, Georgia at the time.
Okay. Okay. So you were born in Utah, and then you moved to Georgia, you said?
Yeah, so my dad was working there at the time. He was born and raised in Utah.
Okay.
And I think he liked the healthcare system, and he had family there and all that, so it made sense that...
So does that make you a Braves fan growing up?
No.
No? All right.
But then you moved back to Utah, right? Tell me...
Yeah, so we lived in Georgia for like 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
My dad got an opportunity to transfer with work, works for Delta Airlines, and we moved to Washington State. So we lived there for another 5 years, and then the opportunity came up again for him to transfer, this time to Utah, which I think is where he wanted to end up anyway.
So now you're in middle school, I guess, right?
3rd grade.
Oh, 3rd grade, okay.
Yeah, so it happened quick. My numbers are probably a little off, but yeah, 3rd grade.
So really, you really only kind of remember Utah, right? For the most part, or maybe a little bit of Washington
Yeah,
State.
just little snippets of here and there, mostly like getting hurt or like holiday type stuff. But
And was it Salt Lake City?
Yeah, Salt Lake City.
Okay, so you grew up in a city, suburb of the city, or in the city?
Suburb.
Okay.
Within the Salt Lake Valley.
Okay.
Because we're surrounded by mountains.
And then how many, do you have siblings?
I have a brother, yeah.
And he's older or younger?
He's 2 years older.
2 years older. So did you follow in his footsteps? Did he play baseball as well?
He played a little bit of soccer. He went more down like a musical theater type path.
Okay. And you played what other sports did you play other than baseball?
I played soccer and I wrestled.
Okay. Ooh. And what position in soccer?
Couldn't tell you.
And
it was young soccer. So in Utah,
it's basically when the whole clump
You can
follows
just
the ball.
run all around.
No, I was like center defense.
Okay.
I wasn't super fast, but I didn't have a problem running into people and stealing the ball. So, but in Utah, and maybe it's this way now, countrywide, but a bunch of the parents talking are like, hey, you need to be one sport specific by the time you're age 12. Like, it's competitive.
I don't like that at all.
I don't believe that.
So I played competitively, and at age 12, you're like, hey, this is the team that's going to get put together to eventually make the high school team. Like, are you in or are you out? So we stopped playing soccer at that point. But I did wrestle for a couple of years in high school, my sophomore and junior year.
I tell you what, Mick, I don't know about you, but like wrestlers, I went to an all-boys school, and it was coat and tie, like a dress code, and the wrestlers obviously on their day of the match, they could dress. Actually, they came into school with like the what was that outfit? It was whatever to lose weight in.
Oh,
it was
like a sweatsuit, like a.
What even a sweat? It was like almost
like a sauna suit.
Yes, it was like a sauna suit. It was like some weird and they'd come. It'd be.
Because they had to make weight.
Yeah, so because you always had to lose weight right before the match. So these kids look like they're all gaunt. And they look unhealthy, and they're in some weird suit, and right. They'd sit there in the back. You're like, yeah, I guess he's got a match tonight. Right?
They kick your butt though.
Oh, I believe me. I'm not gonna say anything to him, right? And those matches were unbelievable. And that, John Middleton was a very good, really good high school wrestler and college wrestler. And I think that is where I think that when you just said the one sport, I think playing 3 sports or whatever, a couple sports, really helps you more than specializing in the one. I know if you specialize in one sport, obviously you can, there's certain benefits to that. But I think if you play, you can learn a lot of things mentally through wrestling, right? Because it's just you and your opponent. There's nobody who's going to help you out.
Well, in the training, it's you versus you because you get exhausted quickly. You have to learn to slow it down and breathe. Otherwise, you're on the mat like panting for air or gasping for air, not panting.
And
I guess
discipline,
I was panting.
Discipline too, obviously, and as far as keeping weight and I mean, there's so many good values that you probably learned through wrestling that you can take over to baseball, right?
Well, I mean, I remember the first day of wrestling, we had 45 kids in the class, and by the time it was the first meet, there was 15 or 16 guys.
Yeah.
So,
right. Did you ever wrestle, Mick?
No, I did not. I would have been one of the 30 that failed out.
But I remember, again, in our high school, I don't know if it was about for you guys, the wrestling match was really fun. Because we had a good team. And, you're in that little gym, and it's hot as, all when you're in there, and can't imagine with the wrestlers. And it's just, again, mano a mano, and it's really fun to watch. So I don't know what it's like as a wrestler, but it was fun to watch.
It's really interesting watching people wrestle now, having done it.
Yeah.
And kind of knowing what to look for. Obviously, you see UFC, and it's so much different because there's so many other disciplines. But you think, if I could go back and do it again, I'd be more aware, I'd be better at this and that, and proprioception and your ability to sense where your body is in space and time, and with another person trying to flip you around and manhandle you, and it's very hard. And there were times where, we'd get disciplined for sucking.
Right.
And it wasn't like sprints. It was I don't know if you know what a monkey roll is, where you've got 3 people and you're jumping over each other and rolling on the ground. And it was 5 minutes of that.
Right.
And I remember halfway through being so utterly exhausted, I can't do this.
Right.
And somehow I made it through, but it was to the point where I was almost emotional because I was just defeated.
Right.
But it's kind of the point, you put yourself through the ringer and you see what you're made of, and then you go and you test that against other people. And I mean, you either win or you lose.
Yeah.
There's not a terrible outcome other than getting tech fault, which someone beats you by 15 points before the match is over. But everyone gets pinned once in a while. I say everyone, not some of the Olympians, not like a Rulon Gardner who was undefeated.
Well, you also have to worry about your ear, right? You get the cauliflower ear that you see on the wrestlers, right? From just, I guess, it just getting completely pounded into the mat.
In high school, at least in the division I was in, you had to wear ear muff or guards.
Okay.
And similar to this, and it straps around the back and it straps over the top and it protects your ears. But there was a couple of wild cowboys that wrestled that refused to wear them in practice. Like, I want the cauliflower ear, I want the cauliflower ear. And ears would fill with fluid and get hard, and so, I mean, you've seen pictures of it, but.
Hey, did you know that one of your teammates has an uncle who's one of the most decorated wrestlers in the history of U.S. wrestling?
I did not.
You did not? All right.
But you do.
Yeah, do you know? You don't know this?
No clue.
All right, well, good. Before we go to break, let's do it right now. Like, you get one guess. One of your teammates has an uncle who's literally one of the most decorated wrestlers. And this guy was a stud wrestler in high school. I'll give you one little hint. He was also a stud quarterback in high school. He's probably the best athlete. I'm going to say he's probably the best athlete on your team.
I was going to say JT, but
JT Realmuto is correct. His uncle is John Smith. Remember, I don't know. Go back, Google John Smith wrestling. A couple of his uncles were decorated wrestlers. So, yeah, and JT was also again a big high school recruit in football. He grew up in Oklahoma, and I'm sure he was recruited by a lot of those schools out that way. So. You didn't know that, Mick?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Learn something every day.
See what you learn, Mick? Stick with me.
You know what?
You're more than just a director of fun.
I'm more than that. I'm senior director.
I do remember hearing something in spring training about him having a wrestling background. So, but
well, you'll have to ask about it when you see him today. That's your
I'm just going to shoot in and take him down and see what happens.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen. Don't do that, because then we're having more people on the injured reserve. We can't have that. Yeah. All right, coming up on the show, we'll talk more about Tanner Banks' career with Mickey Morandini. You're listening to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA, live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at PennCommunityBank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky Pete's. Our selection of seasonal cocktails make any meal better. Come sip and enjoy our bourbon cherry lemonade, made with small batch bourbon, muddled fruits, and refreshing juices. What a winner! Is fruit your flavor? Try a watermelon shandy cocktail. A smoky grapefruit with mezcal and fresh lime. Or sip and enjoy a berry martini. All pair perfectly with our seasonal menu features. Come sip and enjoy at Chickies and Pete's.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at PennCommunityBank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Bull Session. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies Director of Fun and Games, John Brazer, and Mickey Morandini.
All right, we are back to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA, live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. Here with Mickey Morandini and Tanner Banks. And Tanner, you were talking to a gentleman during the break about, or actually talking to us about, what you've got to do today. Let's go through that routine. And then I actually want to see if it compared to what your routine was as obviously you got a pitcher and an infielder. So you guys come in today. You're gonna on a normal day. Forget you would have this show on a normal day like tomorrow. What's your routine tomorrow?
6:40 game. Show up to the park right around 1 o'clock, maybe a little bit before. Typically try to get on the training table first. They make sure everything's moving right, and then I'll go to the weight room and get with the.
Are there a couple
coaches.
trainers too, or is it?
Yeah.
Like so like 2 or 3.
We have 2 PTs and 3 athletic trainers.
Okay.
And they all work together, so they're all on the same page. So I'll get with them for 20 minutes or so, make sure everything's moving right, and it's across the board. Like everyone kind of does the same thing.
Yep.
And then I'll go to the weight room. Do all of the weight room activities.
But that's not every day.
It varies. Like I'll move around and stretch and kind of check in with the body to make sure that nothing's tight or not moving the way it should, and maybe work out 3-4 times a week.
Okay, so when you're doing weights though, is that again not every day you would do that? Maybe you do legs one day.
Yeah, right.
Upper
It's
body
like
another day.
like a lower and upper, like a movement day where it's a bunch of different type of movement profiles, and then a total body. So 4 days a week with a couple off days mixed in. And then we'll eat. Once a series, we'll typically go over like scouting report stuff, and then.
So like today, Monday, you're going through the scouting reports today.
Because we've already played the Cubs.
Oh.
No.
Right, because you've already done that. Okay.
Right. Unless something's changed.
Right.
And then catch, play, that kind of stuff. Come in and eat again. Most of our day is centered around eating.
Right.
But then get ready for the game. It goes by quick, but we give ourselves plenty of time to do it.
Now, Mick, now again, you played back in the 80s, 90s. Is that somewhat similar?
Yeah, I mean, you have a routine. I think everybody needs a routine when they're playing Major League Baseball. My routine was I would eat a big meal at home because we didn't get fed like these guys did.
Right.
And when we did, it wasn't healthy food like these
Right.
guys get. So I would eat a big meal for lunch at home. I'd usually get to the ballpark around 1-ish for a home game. And we played a little later. Our games were like 7:30 or 7:40 or something like that for home games. So get there at 1. If I was healthy, I wouldn't go in the training room at all. If I was banged up a little bit, I'd go in, ice, whatever I had to do. And then I would just hang out for a little bit. I would do some fan mail, listen to some music, just chill. We usually took BP around 4:15 or went out to stretch for BP at 4:15. So before that, I would watch video on the pitcher of that day and some of the relievers so I could get an idea of what he throws, maybe watch some at-bats where I've faced him before. So come up with some sort of game plan. And then we'd go out for batting practice, come back in, grab something small to eat, nothing heavy, cup of coffee, and then sit in front of my locker for about 20 minutes and then go back out and get ready for the game.
And Tanner, these guys, that 93 team particularly, they hung out in the trainer's room after the game. I guess whoever had to talk to the media, talked to the media. But these guys would go in the trainer's room, and that was like their sanctuary, and they would have a bunch of beers and right?
Yeah, we'd eat after the game, have our post-game meal, have cocktails in the training room. Everybody be icing down, getting their treatments, and we'd talk baseball.
Yeah.
It was all baseball, about the game that would just happen, about tomorrow's game, things we can do better, things that went well, all kind of different things. It was a good team camaraderie thing. We got real close doing that.
They had a doubleheader one time, and John Kruk. Tell this the wiffle ball story, John Kruk.
I think that was in between a doubleheader, or it was at one of those late night games.
Yeah.
And I think he had gotten taken out, like pinch run for or something, and he was in the clubhouse with the clubhouse kids playing a wiffle ball game.
and he literally threw out his arm playing wiffle ball, and he didn't think he was going to be playing the second game. I think that's how it went, or maybe it's whatever. It could have been the next day, but he was told he's not playing in that whatever that game was. And next thing you know, I guess someone got hurt. And Fregosi said, "John, you're playing first base." He's like, "Whoa, coach, you told me I'm not." And he literally could not throw. He couldn't throw. He just threw too many wiffle balls.
Too many wiffle ball curveballs.
Right. And so he had to play a game knowing that he literally, if there was a ball where he had to throw to second base, it's not happening.
Funny little tidbit information for you. So, a lot of people throw weighted balls now as part of their throwing routines. If you were to guess what weight of a baseball puts the most stress on your arm, would you say a heavy ball or a light ball?
Oof.
Well, I mean, obviously, you would want to say that.
It's got to be a trick question.
Right, you say the heavier ball, so I'm going to go the lighter ball.
It's the lighter ball.
Right.
Because you are moving quicker so it's putting more torque on your elbow.
Right.
So it makes sense that he threw his arm out throwing a wiffle ball because it weighs practically nothing, and you're whipping that thing.
You know, that's a good point now that I think about it, because I did an appearance at a local bar where I have to play wiffle ball and I have to pitch. And I threw a lot of wiffle balls, and my arm was killing me after. And that's see, you learn something every day.
You learned a couple things today, Mick.
I have.
Stick with us, and you'll go places. I down at fantasy camp. They have fantasy camp where guys over 50. It's guys over 30.
30.
Mickey's a commissioner, and we have like 20 plus former Phillies: Cole Hamels, Charlie Manuel, Larry Boa. They all, they're the coaches. And then guys get in uniform, they play down there, right? So it's pretty bad baseball, right?
It's really bad baseball.
Really bad baseball.
But it's fun.
So one guy literally did a Dravecki, was throwing and his arm just snapped. And so, me and a couple other people are kind of emergency people. And again, I was a lacrosse player. I mean, I can play baseball, but and I hear over Milt Thompson's walkie-talkie, is Brazer there? We need to get in uniform. We need to go to Ashburn Field to pitch. And I'm like, I'm right there. I'm hearing all this. I'm like, and Milt's like, I'm like, fine, whatever. So I go there. I get no warm-up. It's the middle of the game. Never pitched in my life. Literally nothing. And again, I didn't have any warm-up. And I'm trying to compete because I'm competitive, right? I pitched 4 innings, and I'm telling you, they asked me to play the next game. And I played third base. I would have been better off throwing left-handed. I would have been much better off throwing left-handed. So, yeah, I guess I don't know.
How do they not give you any warm-ups? What's up with that?
It's the middle of the
you
game.
better talk to the commissioner about that.
You weren't the commissioner then.
I know, LA
right?
was.
If you were. You got to come down and check it out sometime, Tanner. All right, so going back to your career. So the cool thing is maybe not at the time, but you basically were drafted in 2014, right? And again, you went from a junior college to University of Utah. You get drafted, and then you had a long journey. There's some guys we just talked about, Otto Kemp or some other guys that actually kind of came up fairly quick. Look at Kirkring. Kirkring flew through, but you actually paid your dues and went through. So that's a journey right there, right? Where you've got to, in your mind, I guess I'm sure through that process, you're like, was there any time where you're like, man, when's this chance going to happen? Do I start thinking about another career? Did that ever cross your mind?
It crossed my mind for sure. 2020 was obviously COVID year. That was the last year on my minor league contract. And my 2019 season wasn't by any stretch dazzling.
Right.
I remember helping my father-in-law remodel the upper level of his house, and my agent called me. He's like, hey, I talked to the White Sox. They want you to come back, but they're basically offering you minimum pay. And at the time, my wife was pregnant, and we're thinking, how is this ever going to work out? How are we going to be able to make ends meet? And my agent basically told me, you can be done or you can give it one last shot. And like you, being a competitor and not ready to grow up, still not ready to grow up.
Right. Nor am I, and I'm much older.
I said, okay, let's go for it. And it turned out to be a blessing. Was told all spring, and I communicated earlier. I was like, hey, my wife's coming with me. We've got a baby on the way. I need to know where we're at so we can find an appropriate living situation. So they tell me early, you're going to AA, 3 days left in camp. You're going to hate us for this, but we're going to send you to AAA. Rosters were expanded. This was 2021 at this point. Spent the whole summer there as the long man, 3 innings, occasionally 4, rarely 1s or 2s. I pitched once a week, but it was a good summer. And led into my second minor league free agency year, which turned into the year I made the opening day roster. So,
and I remember in the podcast you had mentioned something and explained this because you said that you were a toe pitcher. You basically, right? And then someone told you around COVID time, I think, that said you got to use more of your core, your glutes, all that. and get away from the toe pitcher. Can you explain that?
Yes.
And then how that changed, because that really changed your career.
It changed significantly. So all my life, I'd wear out the insole of my shoes on my drive leg underneath my big toe. And it stemmed from my weight kind of being set over my toes. And if you go back and watch old minor league footage, even like fall league footage from 2018, the way my feet would be set up was staggered. So I was kind of predisposed to striding cross body. So I was really crossfire. I never was able to really rotate effectively, like with my core and my hips. And going into that COVID year, I met with our rehab director, who's like, hey, we've got these ideas and some strategies to help correct this issue. And I worked with him for a couple of months. I say a couple months. Before everything shut down, I worked with him. And I got into one spring training game. I think I was like a 87, 89 starter. The one game I got in, I was 92. The next spring, and through all of COVID, I had worked to kind of master these feelings, these positions. I come back in spring the next year, and I was up to, I think I hit like 96.3.
Wow.
Which never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought. But it kind of, it changed everything. I started rotating better, using my legs better, being rooted in the ground better. Stopped wearing through the toe of my shoes. And on a minor league salary, they're hard to afford. So.
Right. Well, then it really set your career in motion.
Absolutely.
Right? So, all right, good. When we come up, coming up on the show, we will talk more. Let's get into some of your teammates. I want to find out what it's like being in that bullpen. Who are some of the characters there? What it's like to throw to JT and Marchand and all that. We'll go through that. So we're with our guest, Tanner Banks, Mickey Morandini. You're listening to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA. We are live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky Pete's. Our selection of seasonal cocktails make any meal better. Come sip and enjoy our bourbon cherry lemonade, made with small batch bourbon, muddled fruits, and refreshing juices. What a winner! Is fruit your flavor? Try a watermelon shandy cocktail. A smoky grapefruit with mezcal and fresh lime. Or sip and enjoy a very berry martini. All pair perfectly with our seasonal menu features. Come sip and enjoy at Chickies and Pete's.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at penncommunitybank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Bull Session. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies Director of Fun and Games, John Brazer, and Mickey Morandini.
All right, we are back to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA, live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. John Brazer, joined by co-host Mickey Morandini and our guest Tanner Banks. And Tanner, you just told us off the air some pretty exciting news. What just happened a week ago?
Yeah, I was going to plug this before the break, but my former junior college, Salt Lake Community College, known as Slick, just won the Junior College World Series.
Did you follow him all season?
Not really. I checked in occasionally, but I have a couple of friends that I say friends. The facility I trained at in the off season, they came through the program, and so I kind of touch base and keep base with them.
Had they ever come close? Had they ever
The 2 years I was there, we were in a championship game.
Okay.
We win, we go to the World Series. I think last year was their first time making it.
Okay.
I don't recall exactly, but
well, congratulations. It's awesome. All right, let's talk about the team now as far as like the characters and the personalities. So the bullpen, you guys have a lot of time to hang out together during the game, away from the game. Do you guys hang out? Like, is it when you go on the road, like when you're in Pittsburgh, do you have like, do the bullpen guys go out to dinner? Do the position guys, like, are you kind of segmented to a certain degree?
yes and no. I mean, like I went and got dinner with Brandon Marsh night before last, but we'll occasionally get together and have dinner. But I think we see enough of each other in the bullpen, or they hear enough of me in the bullpen.
Okay, well then you led me right into it. Who's the loudest in the bullpen?
I wouldn't say I'm the loudest. I definitely take the title for talking the most, but Carlos Hernandez has got some vocals on him.
Okay.
If you sit out there for any period of time, you'll hear him yell something.
Who's the goofiest in the bullpen? And maybe it's the same.
He's pretty goofy. I'm pretty goofy, but he's pretty goofy too. He's got some funny antics.
What's the most obnoxious thing you've heard from a fan, home or road?
I don't know if I'm allowed to repeat that.
You're probably not allowed. Have you ever had a cheesesteak delivered down to the bullpen?
No.
No? Because I've heard that story. Like a couple people used to order cheesesteak somehow through a clubby and then bring it down. All right. And then your buddies with Marsh, and I know your buddies with Ryan Kirkering, right?
Yeah.
Is there one guy that in particular that you hang out with more than most?
I sit right next to Kirkering in the clubhouse, so I don't know what you qualify as hanging out, but
right.
you know, I would say like between Kirk and Strami and Marshy, like those are the three guys that I gravitate towards the most.
And then how about when new guys come in? You know, we've had a couple guys come into the bullpen up and down. Daniel Robert, right?
I got a funny story about him.
And a couple other guys that, I mean, you want to welcome them because you were obviously in that position at one point when you were coming into a new situation. What's that like in the end? Tell me the story about Daniel Robert.
So he gets called up. Travel when you get called up is always perfectly smooth and easy.
Yeah, sure.
So he comes in the dugout, and we're all gathered towards the end of the dugout waiting for the starter to come in from the bullpen before we go out. And he comes by, and he's looking to do a high five like everyone does. We're all experts of high fives, except for me. But
I saw an Instagram post for you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
self-proclaimed, still working on it.
Right.
But he goes for a high five, and I give him one of these, kind of like gesturing to the bullpen. Next thing I know, we're at the end of the dugout, and he is sprinting across the outfield to the bullpen. I guess he thought that this meant, like, hey, why aren't you out there?
Right.
So he's standing in the bullpen with the starter and the pitching coaches, and we're all in the dugout wondering where he is and what's going on. Like, why did Robert just run across the outfield?
And then he explained when he came back, like, I thought you gave me a signal or something?
Well, he didn't come back. We met him out there.
Him.
But, yeah, we were giving him a hard time. Like, what was lost in translation there when I said, like, hey, like, we're going to high five after.
Right.
But, again, self-proclaimed, not good at high fives, so don't take it from me.
Right. And then your catchers, Marshawn, Stubbs last year, JT. What's it like been thrown to those guys?
Man, we're a lucky group. We're a lucky group. I like to call. I don't have a nickname that I want to call JT yet, but I want to call him like the professor or the scientist or the doctor or something, because he sits and puts his game plans together and looks at all the data. And I think you could ask pretty much anybody, top to bottom, and the game plan kind of runs off of his scouting. But top to bottom, it's pretty much okay. If this is the pitch he's calling, it's the right pitch to throw. So it's nice to have that trust and know that he's done the research and has the experience that he does.
So when he first comes up, right? So last year, when you came into the ballpark team, I mean, he's got to know you, right? So it's a combination of working bullpens and just, does he sit down with you and say, all right, Tanner, tell me what you like, what your strategy is. Tell me like what you like to throw in certain situations.
So I remember the situation really well. So I come in for a day game against the Yankees. It's maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours till game time, whirlwind. I go into the weight room, and Stubby is on one of the machines, and at the time I didn't know who he was, and I'm moving around, and he just kind of smiles at me, and he's got this cheesy little mustache that he wears well. But he's like, so, Banksy, tell me, what do you throw? And I'm like, who are you? Like, right. But that was the case with everybody in the clubhouse.
Yeah, you're brand new.
So we start talking. JT comes over, and I basically gave him a Cliff Notes version of how I like to attack hitters. And it took a little bit of back and forth, in-game experience to kind of dial in, like, usage and where to throw and what to throw when.
Did you shake him off at all that first game?
No. I think I threw like 9 pitches the first game. But Stubby was catching.
Okay.
And it was like a ground out and a couple pop-ups, and I was out of it before I could blink. But again, having any of those 3 behind the plate is awesome. They're all on the same page with the pitchers, and we can trust them, and that's the biggest thing as a pitcher. Knowing that the pitch you throw is the right pitch, and you having the trust in yourself and kind of that synergy with the catcher, that it makes it a lot easier to go out and perform, especially in the big moments.
And then what about Caleb Cotham, working with Caleb?
He's been great. He's got that cool flip phone tablet. I always give him a hard time about it, but there's so many good resources, and he's got access to all of them. So.
And do you guys talk whether it's bullpen or starting pitchers, do you guys, sometimes you'll hear someone say, oh, I learned, Cliff Lee, back in the day, I learned Cliff Lee's changeup, or Roy Halladay showed me his cutter, or whatever. Like, do you guys talk about that? Do you experiment with pitches like in the bullpen?
We'll watch other pitchers when they come in. The Cubs have I think his name's Roberts, throws a nasty sweeper, and we'll talk about different guys' pitches, like, oh, we want to go back and learn how they throw this, or the grip, or the delivery, whatever, because, if you can up your game a little bit in something as easy as watching film of another pitcher or hitter, then great. But
look at Luzardo, who never threw a sweeper before last year, or never threw it last year, and look what he's been doing with that, so it's pretty impressive.
It's been a great pitch.
Do you guys still throw flat ground, like, before every game?
Some guys.
Play catch?
Some guys will throw them every single day, whether they pitch 3 days in a row or not.
All right, well, I know you got a game to go to, and I know you got a meal to eat, and I know Mickey got a meal to eat too, so I'm going to let you guys go. And that wraps up this week's Bull Session presented by BCWSA. I'd like to thank my co-host, Mickey Morandini, our guest today, Tanner Banks, back in the studio, Gus Barber, our on-site engineer, Chris Ermer. Thanks also to Pete Cherokee and the great staff here at Chickies and Pete's, South Philly, for hosting us today. We're going to be back next Monday. You're not there, Mick.
I am not.
Tommy Green, next Monday at 6 o'clock. Chickies and Pete's on Roosevelt Boulevard. We're going to have Ruben Amaro Jr. Until then, have a great week. And yes, Mick, I'm making you do it again. As the late, great Harry the K says,
Outta here.